I didn't mean to do it, but I did.
Yeah, you did.
I took it out.
Yes, you did. Yeah, you did, Tom.
No, it's listen. The world history is cyclical. You are a history major. You know what's the number one thing you learn in history? History repeats itself.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Unfortunately for Haley, got a position, keeps her busy at night. So we're back to the original. Let me say this though, although it's the original Fluent and Chill, it still looks a lot better. Like, you remember when we first started?
We didn't know what we were doing. We had no idea, Tom. We had no idea.
There was no music. Some people would say it's a good thing. There was no soundboard. Nothing. And now we got
in the screen. That was it. We was just
that was it. And I don't know if you remember this. Well, my hair was long. You don't remember that, but my computer was like hot garbage. and remember when it used to like fade out and it would be like, oh, my internet sucks. Oh, I got to. It was nothing to do with my internet. It was my computer was like, nah, I'm good.
Trash.
I'm out of here.
Trash.
So listen, everybody saw the title. Joker choked. We're going to talk about it. Obviously, we're going to kick it off with the game tonight, and we're going to get into both series and break them down. We're going to start with that, but first, we're also going to get into the all defensive team or teams. First, I know you saw the first, but you haven't seen the second. So that's
I've not seen that second one, Tom. No, I haven't.
Excellent. Make sure. I know. I hope I have it. Oh yes, I do. I have it. Do I have it? Let me make sure. Oh yeah, there it is. There's one name on that second team that I don't even know. Anyways, we'll talk about it. I also have a global question for you. Global question for you. No Baba G guts. There is no Haley, but maybe you can replace her. Casting call. Who's going to come on? Anyway, talk about that after. But first and most important, we've talked about flat Earth. We've struggled with AI. We've talked about birds not being real. Jay, is water wet?
For as far as I know, I'd like to think it is.
Before you answer, Fluent Jr. brought this to my attention, by the way. There's like a YouTube post that's got millions and millions and millions of views on this. Before you answer, the definition of wet has to come with the opposite, the ability to be dry. So for something to get wet, it has to be able to be dry.
Correct.
If you pour water on water, does it get wetter?
I don't know if you pour it on water. It's already wet. So I don't know wouldn't that be the textbook definition of it? If you dry something.
Is water just water?
But if you dry something and you try to dry, if something's already dry and you're drying it, wouldn't it get drier? I mean, that's the other end of the spectrum. So I don't have any moisture on my skin. And if I got
if I poured water on your shirt, it would get wet, correct?
Because it's not wet at all.
Correct.
Correct.
So can water get wetter?
I think you can, absolutely, because you can accumulate more water. Sure.
I'm going to disagree. Water is not wet. Thank you, Elijah. There's a great video when my son came to me and he's like, "Watch this video, Dad." I'm like, "No," because he already drives Mrs. Fluent crazy because he knows this isn't true, but he'll always the Earth is flat, right? I saw that guy on Daddy's show. The Earth is flat, and then he'll be like, "Birds aren't real," right? The government has robots,
right,
doing their thing. And he knows it's not true. He just does it purposely to like drive her nuts.
And you know where he gets that from?
No, exactly.
I just want to make sure we clear. You know where he gets that from? That is hereditary. That's not just something that's not something that he made up. She's gonna choke the life out of him. She is. Just like
or me. One of the two.
Both of y'all, not just him. Both of you guys.
He came to me and said, "Water's not wet." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And then he showed me the video, and there's two parts to it that goes through and gives you all the reasons why. And I was like, "All right." I'm with you, son. Water's not wet. All right. So water's not wet. The Celtics, however, are the favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Does Indiana have a chance? Let's start there. Does Indiana have a chance?
I feel like every team that when you get to this stage, you have a chance. You know, if even despite how you got here, if you're here, you have a chance. I think some things are going to get settled in this series. What I mean when I say some things are going to get settled, Indiana has, for the most part, been healthy. And one of the things I feel like is going to get settled is the best backup lead guard in the game. I think he's on the Boston Celtics. There's some people who think he's on the Indiana Pacers. So I think we're going to settle that this series. Who is the best backup lead guard in the game? Is it TJ McConnell? Is it Peyton Pritchard? I personally think it's Peyton Pritchard. But we're going to get to the bottom of that. I think that Indiana has a chance off the strength of how good their offense is and how they dictate how teams play with their offense, how fast they play, and how they make other teams play fast. Now, when it comes to the Boston Celtics have that. They have that kind of defense, and they have that kind of dynamic where we can play the way you play. We don't have to just play the way we play. We can play the way you play and be productive. We can play fast because we have transition players who play fast. We also have great defenders, so we can slow down the way that you play. So I think that this benefits the Boston Celtics, how fast the Indiana Pacers play if they want to speed the game up. Because statistically, I think Giannis and James are the two best transition players in the game. After that is Siakam, statistically. But with that being said, Tone, as fast as Indiana plays, I don't know if I can name 10 transition players in the game better than Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown is one of the best transition players in the game. He gets up and down the floor with the best of them. He finishes in transition. He's got a great stop and pop game. But I also feel like defensively, not just him, but the Celtics can slow you down in transition. They got a really good, they do a really good job in one, getting back in transition. Number two, the pickup point with them, with Drew Holiday, is going to increase. It's not going to be at the half court line because I know how fast you guys want to play. So Drew Holiday, I'm thinking back to 2021 when he was with the Milwaukee Bucks playing against the Phoenix Suns. How did they slow them down? Drew Holiday started picking up full court.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you slow down the Phoenix Suns. Well, if Chris Paul is throwing the ball ahead, that means the ball isn't in his hands and he's not creating offense for other people. That means that somebody else is doing that and they're not as good as him, which is hampering their transition game. So I think Drew Holiday is going to be key in this. I do think Indiana has a chance, though, Tone, because they got a stretch five. Boston's stretch five isn't available right now. That's Porzingis. So that's going to be.
We have word on his availability, like, or when he might be able to come back, I guess.
Yes. Well, the word on the street is that by mid-series he could be available. By mid-series. I don't like it, Tone, to be quite honest with you, because it gives me KD 2019 Finals vibes. I just when you talk about that calf injury, I just don't like it. I don't. I have a really difficult time with that. But that's the report. By mid-series, he could be available, and I think that'd be good for Boston to get him back in the lineup if he was available. If he's available to play,
for sure. And that's where I was going to go, because we talked about this every round, really, with Pacers. They've been fortunate at the misfortune of the other teams. Giannis is out for the Bucks. Dame goes down partway through the series, isn't the same.
Yep.
Obviously, the Knicks, who wasn't hurt on the Knicks, right, to the point where people are questioning Tibbs's coaching and how many minutes he played everybody, because it's not sustainable and everybody's getting hurt, and so he goes hurt. Now they come into Boston, and Boston has two, I feel, of the biggest things working against them.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, we both have said Boston, like, it's their destiny. They should be in the final. They should win the NBA final this year. This should be their season. This should be Tatum's coronation. However, two things going against them. One, the Porzingis injury. And I hate to say it, but based on what has happened in the other series, the Pacers just seem to have this kind of luck or unlucky for the other team. They're, one other injury, and now we're talking about the Pacers in the NBA final. Number two is we know that the Pacers play fast.
Yes,
right? That's the one thing we know. This playoffs, have you seen it too? There's like this much kind of defense when they needed it. Did you notice it too? Just a little bit. Here's the problem. You said Boston can play fast, but that is their problem. When they start to play fast, they start to shoot a bunch of threes. When they start to shoot and they fall in love with the three, that's how you can catch them. So if you get Indiana, if they start to play Indiana style and they start going fast, which they can do, but it's at the from outside, we know Boston can give you a game.
I personally think Indiana wins tonight off the strength that Indiana's got the momentum. I mean, they just played a couple of nights ago. Boston been sitting around since last Wednesday.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I think you're going to see a Pacers win tonight, and that's going to open up a lot of eyes.
I think they got the momentum.
Are you still with Boston, or are you starting to?
No, I think Boston wins this series in 5 games. I don't think that this is. I still think they smoked them.
It's going to go 5-5-5.
Yeah, I still think that they smoked them. But to your point, Tone, you were talking about how these guys can play fast. I mean, we didn't win 64 games just off of our defense. We didn't win 64 games getting to the rim. We won 64 games by getting to the rim with our defense and also cracking the long ball. They're one of the best. They're one of the better long ball shooting teams in the league. When we play fast, sure, it gets them in trouble a lot of times when they shoot the long ball like that and they don't convert. But more times than not, we know better than to shoot the long ball when it's not working and not go to other things. That's why they've been able to win as many games as they won. There hasn't been a time when, I'm not going to say there hasn't been a time, because there have been times when they shot themselves out of games. They have done that 100%. But with that being said, they've also been a good enough team where they've shot consistent enough where our defense just took over the game. So with that being said, I feel like tonight is a game that Indiana is primed to take, because one, they play fast. The Boston Celtics have been sitting around and when I say sitting around, it's not like they've been doing nothing, because we all know that they've been practicing and they've been in the gym. But the fact that
when they sit around, get rusty, it's you're not as sharp. You're not as sharp.
We haven't played since last Wednesday, so we basically been off. Today is Tuesday. We've been off for like 6-7 days now. So we haven't, and to get in practice and go up against each other, that's one of the main reasons, and you and I are going to talk about this in a bit. That's one of the main reasons why that Minnesota series went as long as it did, because they had 4 days in between. Had they not had that, I think that Minnesota series would have been over. But anyway, when you're talking about this Celtic team, the fact that they've been sitting around for as long as they've been sitting around, a team that shoots the basketball the way that they do, right? A team that shoots the basketball the way that they do, and in rhythm, you need to keep that rhythm. And when you're not playing, when you're not getting those kind of reps where you're in games, then clearly you're not going to be as sharp. Now, this could very well be a wake up. Very well could be a wake up. But I think that they're primed to lose tonight off the strength that they've been sitting around. So don't salute me. Do not salute me. Don't salute me. Get the hell out of here. Get out of here, yo.
Already? We started. So
him too. Get the hell out of here. Don't salute me.
Let me ask.
I can't stand these dudes, yo. Don't salute me.
Okay. Let me ask you this. That threw me off because I don't know where to go. Indiana, has Indiana lost a game at home? And if they haven't lost a game at home and they win game 1 in Boston, doesn't that mean they win this series, or does that break the cycle as well? Boston takes one in Indiana.
Well, if you end up stealing home floor, of course, all I got to do now is just win the rest of my home games, and it doesn't really matter. But
because you said 5, I'm just saying. So you said 5. So what you're saying is they're going to lose tonight in Boston. Boston's going to lose tonight at home. Then they're going to win the second game. Then they're going to go take 2 in Indiana, and then come back home and win game 5.
I don't think if Indiana wins tonight, I don't think they win another game in this series. I don't.
So that's what I'm saying. So you just think that's it.
That's where I'm at. If they win tonight, I don't think they win another game in this
lost
series.
At home are going to lose 2 in a row to Boston.
I don't think that they win another game in this series. I don't.
Listen, I had Boston. I told you I had Boston and Minnesota from the beginning of the playoffs.
Yeah.
I have those two meeting in the finals. So I'll stick with that. But let me be the flip side to this.
Mm-hmm.
I think Indiana wins tonight as well. I think their speed and the injury of Porzingis, this is not an excuse for Jason Tatum, because unlike you, I don't believe in Jason Tatum. I think he is not a tier 1 superstar. I think he is just that level below. Not full, not tier 2. Don't get me wrong. He's just like, I think he's hanging on. Like if there was a ladder, he's hanging on to that last rung. Where
Is he right outside the velvet rope? Like the velvet rope room?
Yeah, yes, that's super. Yes. That
That's
Nick club superstar.
Like he's walking up the stairs.
You know what he's got? He's got 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and the bouncer's checking his ID. That's where he is. That's where he is. And so I'm going to say that the Pacers. So it's not an excuse. I don't think Tatum's that guy. I don't think Brown is that guy. I think Porzingis being hurt. I think the speed in which Indiana plays. I think Indiana's like Cinderella. And until the clock strikes midnight, every loose ball's bouncing their way. Every injury is in their favor. So they're either going to get hit with it because it averages out. They're either going to get smoked or it's going to continue. And we've seen teams. Did you think Dallas was going to beat everybody they beat in 2011 and then the Heat in the final? Not many people did.
I didn't think that they beat the Miami Heat. I ain't gonna lie about that, Tone. I did not think that. But in this particular situation, sure, we're talking about a team in Indiana that's been fortunate. You and I have had this conversation a bunch of times, Tone, that being good ain't good enough. Sure, you need some stuff to go your way. Absolutely. With that also being said, I mean, how luckier, or how long can you continue to get lucky like this, though? How long before, in your words, the clock strikes 12? Because what I'm not doing, Tone, I can't believe I'm doing this, but do I really have to sit here and discuss with you that the Indiana Pacers could be the NBA champions? Do I really have to sit here and do that with you? Because it sounds like this is a possibility. Watching, that's what I'm saying. This sounds like just watching them in the playoffs. This looks to me like I might have to talk about this. I'm not prepared to do it, by the way. I am not.
There was a team that had always been good, just never good enough. Made a blockbuster trade.
Yep.
A lot of question marks. Went into the first round against an opponent that they were significantly better than. Mm-hmm. Lost the first game, but came out of that series. Went into the second round, game 7, and had the luckiest shot in the history of basketball, ding, 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 like a pinball machine, bounce around and drop for the win. In the third round, they were down 0-2 and then had to go and win the next 4 games to get out of that. They get into the finals, and the best or second best player on that team tries to come back a little early and was smoking them for the 5 seconds he was on the court. Like it was, smoking them. Boom, he's out. Their third best player in the final minutes of game 5, boom, he's gone out, or game 6, whatever it was. And they go on and win. Everything just clicked for that Toronto Raptors team.
It happened.
And it happens. So that, I don't want to be the one sitting here going, I can't believe we didn't see this coming, because when I look at the Pacers, I kind of see, again, I'm still picking Boston, but let's be real. Everything has gone their way this playoffs.
This postseason.
Everything.
It has.
So
can it continue? I didn't look at it like that, Tone. Can it continue? Yeah, I thought that the Milwaukee Bucks were fool's gold, and I said that.
Yeah, I think we all agreed on that.
Throughout the course of the season.
Remember, I said I hated Dame. I hated Dame to the Bucks. Hated it. Yep. Still hate it. And now they're going to trade him this summer. Yes, sorry. Go ahead. I cut you off.
So he was just Milwaukee was just a pit stop. So yeah. to where he was really going to end up. But with that being said,
crazy flight, by the way, Portland to Milwaukee to Miami. But hey, you got to get to where you got to get.
You really got to get to where you're trying to get to.
Yeah,
I'm looking at this from the aspect of how often. I mean, I know you need things to go your way. 100%. Things have to go your way. But in terms of everything falling into place, like yikes, and not just everything falling into place. everything falling into place at the exact time that it should. So we're talking about an Indiana Pacers team who Milwaukee loses Giannis for the series. They lose Dame within the series. I'm not sure. Even though I thought Indiana was looking at Milwaukee like they was a bucket of extra crispy anyway. Let's just say for the sake of argument that they beat them. Then they get the Knicks. Julius Randle's been out since January. Mitchell Robinson has been out almost half the season. They lose OG, who shouldn't even been on the floor in Game 7 because it was obvious that he couldn't run. They lose him throughout the series. So now we're in a space where now we're in a space with this Indiana team where now they're in the East Finals. Kind of like this, I want to say the spoilers tone where they showed up like, what are you guys doing here? Why are you here? Like, whose ticket did you steal? Because you clearly weren't invited to this party.
They Gonzaga before Gonzaga was Gonzaga.
Maybe that may very well be the case. Whose ticket did you steal? Because you were not invited to this party. How did you get in here? And what are you doing here? Well, they're clearly here, and it looks like they're gonna cause some trouble. So we're gonna find out. We're definitely gonna find out.
To the West. So we're still both on Boston, but we agree Pacers are dangerous, right? They're at least dangerous because let's not forget the Siakam trade didn't happen until the trade deadline. They're still trying to figure out, but they do have, right? When you look at Turner, Halliburton, Siakam, they've got pieces.
I think this getting to the conference finals, Tone, I think this might have swayed Siakam.
You think he's going to stay in?
I think that this might have, because I initially, when they first got him, I'm thinking this doesn't move the needle for me. I'm thinking that they'll make the. I didn't feel like it moved.
1 year removed from All NBA second team,
right? But I was looking at the landscape of the Eastern Conference, and I was looking at the teams in the Eastern Conference, and at the time, I'm thinking about, okay, Joel Embiid's going to be back. What is he going to look like? Not just Joel Embiid. Giannis wasn't hurt, and not only was Giannis not hurt, you got the Boston Celtics in the East, you got the New York Knicks in the East. So I'm thinking to myself, this really doesn't move the needle for me. So how are they going to be able to hold on to him? Well, to your point, you get things that go your way and you make a deep run into the East. Now, one of two things is going on here. One, we could look at this like we ain't that far away. Maybe we can upgrade it. Maybe we can upgrade on our front line, get better rebounding. We could get Matherin back. That's going to help us. Or two, Tone, this thing was a fluke. They're the Atlanta Hawks from 2021. This thing was a fluke. Maybe they're the Trailblazers from 19. Maybe this thing is a fluke. So one of these two things, I said this to you a while ago. The New York Knicks cannot sit on their hands this summer, just like Indiana going to the East Finals. Because I don't think that they're going to beat Boston. They cannot sit on their hands this summer. They have to do something to get better. One of those things that they got to do, see if you can keep Siakam in the fold, see if you can get that front line better. I think they're straight in the backcourt with TJ McConnell. I think they're straight there, and they're going to get Matherin back. But with that being said, absolutely, don't sit on your hands and just do nothing and run it back. These teams make mistakes when they do that.
I agree with that 100%. And so, okay. So like I said, Pacers have a chance. We still both have Boston. I think you said the same as me in 5. Right? I think I said it. Boston just always gives people a game. So they're going to go 5-5-5. And then who knows in the finals? We'll talk about that later. All right. Celtics don't look very rusty, by the way. They're up 12-0 to start the game. Pacers look like they've been off for a few days. To the West. I got to say Dallas is the surprise team, at least for me, because I had picked Minnesota to be there.
Right.
Are you more surprised by Dallas or more surprised by Minnesota?
I felt like Minnesota was the only team in the West that could really challenge Denver because I felt like they were built to beat them. I felt like they had everything necessary to challenge them. I wasn't sure if they could beat them. I did feel like if the series went further along, I felt like they had a real good shot. I didn't think that if Denver jumped on them early, I didn't think offensively they were good enough to get themselves back in the series. I felt like if they hung in there, though, and what helped them was them getting up early. I think them going up 2-0, I think that helped them. But I thought that I felt like they were built, Tone, to beat Denver. And you said it yourself. Game 7, that was the West. To be honest with you, that was the Western Conference Championship. I didn't think that Dallas or Oklahoma City, I didn't think that those two teams, I didn't think that those teams would be, in terms of defense, I didn't feel like they had enough to deal with Minnesota. So I'm more surprised with Dallas. And when I say I'm more surprised with Dallas, not that they couldn't get there, Tone, because again, we just talked about Indiana. Dallas had a favorable matchup. In the words of Tone, they had Buffalo in the first round.
Yeah, Buffalo in the first round.
They had Buffalo in the first round.
Buffalo tricked even me because I was like, okay, Buffalo's going to win. Buffalo's going to win this one. But yeah.
That series actually went further than what I thought. I thought that series was going to go.
Shame on me for believing in Buffalo.
I thought that series. I thought they was bouncing the Clippers in 5. They ended up beating them in 6, and then they run up on some kids in the semifinals. So they had some favorable matchups. I think that worked for them. And
OKC's still the better team, right? Like I get it that Dallas beat them. I just think they need a veteran and another year. Right?
I never subscribed to that logic, man. I mean, no? I've never been one of those. Like if I beat you 4 times in a week, I'm better than you. And I feel like
because we've had this discussion more than once about a better player. I could be a better player, but you could have played better.
Right. So but if I outplay you one time, Tone,
Dallas just played better for that stretch, or is it played better that week?
It's a difference between. I feel like there's a difference between me outplaying you once and doing it throughout the course of a week, throughout the course of a series. I think there's a different conversation that has to be had when I'm doing that. It's like the NCAA. It's the opposite of the NCAA tournament. I feel like anybody can beat anybody one time. Just like in football, I feel like anybody can beat anybody one time. If I outplay you throughout the course of a series, now we got to have a different conversation. Not just about you getting outplayed, but about me in terms of the player I am. And on top of that, what I've been doing throughout the playoffs. It's not like I outplayed you in this series, right? I'm talking about me outplaying everybody. And me being that type of, like Jamal Murray is a prime example of that. When you're outplaying the masses, we have to have a different conversation about you. So to your point about Dallas, I feel like they had a favorable matchup. Luka's been hobbled, but I feel like they've been winning in different ways. I feel like their defense, Derrick Jones Jr. has actually been really good for them defensively. I feel like PJ Washington is a big-time shot maker. It doesn't hurt when you're leaving them wide open. I mean, that doesn't hurt. But Derek Lively has actually been a lot better than what I thought he was going to be. Tone, I thought he was going to be a project. I did. Yeah. I thought he was going to be a project.
He surprised a lot of people. I did. He played really well. He played really well.
I thought he was going to be a project. I was a fan of the Derek Lively edition, and I do think that worked, but he struggled with physicality. Zubac proved that. He struggled with phicality. They didn't have that in Oklahoma City. They're going to have that with Minnesota.
You're going to change this.
That's going to be a problem with Minnesota. So I'm more surprised, to be honest with you. If I had to pick between the two, I'm not as surprised with Minnesota as I am. I'm surprised that Dallas ended up with the matchup that they ended up with, not the fact that they got to the Western Finals.
Yeah, listen, I've picked against Dallas the first 2 rounds. They've proven me wrong. I'm picking against them again because I'm going to stick to my Minnesota to the finals. But I feel like every time I pick against them, they figure out a way to win. Like Luka's literally playing on one leg. And he's still finding a way to get it done. So, good for him. The NBA is in good hands.
Is he though, Tone? Is Luka playing on one leg? Because I'd like to think that I'd like to think OG Anunoby was playing on one leg. Like Luka could actually run.
Well, no. Well, here's the difference though. Luka doesn't run. No. So him not running as much isn't as much. And this is why I always say guys who play with their smarts are always going to be better for longer typically, because they're not relying on their athleticism. Because if you rely on athleticism, then you got to figure out what to do when you lose that, because at some point you will. Most people, some exceptions. Luka's never been like Luka's not beating you because of his athleticism. He's still I still couldn't even believe it. Like he makes these moves that look to be in slow motion, but his footwork is so good that he's by people. I'm like, how the heck did he get by him? it blows my mind still to this day. But that's why I think to your point, he can still run compared to how he used to run.
Kind of like Bird. Like Bird didn't blow you away with his athleticism. Like
no, but you turn and he was by you, or you turn and he was shooting it over you. And you're like, how did he shoot over me?
What's going on here? This dude is slow. He can't jump that high. I'm looking at the box score, and this dude got 28. And we're in the middle of the third quarter. What the hell's going on? What am I going to do to stop?
Exactly. Okay, so are you with me still picking Minnesota? Are you picking Minnesota? Or are you?
The Western Conference Championship was Sunday, Tom. The Western Conference Championship was Sunday night. Yes, sir.
So this round's a formality.
I think they served Dallas in 5 games. I think they served them.
How sad is it that we had a couple of game 7s?
Mm-hmm.
And
I know where you go with it.
In the Eastern and Western Conference Finals, we're both saying 5s. Like that's. Well, if you think about what the strengths are with these two teams, right? If you think about what the strength is, even though you're not a fan of Jason Tatum, you're not a fan of how Boston operates, I think their strengths are the complete opposite of what Indiana likes to do. The complete opposite. And I feel like the Mavs, with the dominant ball handler in Luka, with him creating offense for a lot of those guys, and not just creating offense for a lot of those guys, him being able to get the ball to Kyrie Irving and let Kyrie Irving work, that's the antithesis. That's the opposite of who Minnesota is, because they can counter that with their perimeter defense. They have some of the best perimeter defense in the game. And now what you do is you leave Luka in a position where now Luka has to do everything, because we can neutralize the rest of these guys. I've seen Kyrie Irving get neutralized in the series. That doesn't mean that he hasn't been playing well in these playoffs, but I've seen him get neutralized in series. And I feel like Anthony Edwards taking on the assignment to slow him down, not stop him, but to slow him down. And let's be clear. Can I just stop you there? Because people always, the this stopper, that always going to shut. You're not shutting down a great player. No one. Look, you can slow him down. You can make it more difficult. You can make him play, lesser than he normally does. But there are times when guys go for 30, and it's a win.
Right.
And it's a win because it was either inefficient or it took them away from doing other things that they do. And I think people, they look at the box score way too often, and they're like, "Oh, he scored 34. It must have been, he must have been great." Not always. Not always.
It's not always the case. It's not always the case, Tone. And those are the people. I feel like those are the people who, when you watch the box score, those are the people who have to be schooled on, what the game is about. Not just then, but today. They have to be schooled on what the game is. So I saw somebody earlier in the comments. They was asking about this shirt. Well, we got plenty more. And
was someone asking about the shirt?
Yeah, somebody was asking about this shirt earlier in the chat. Let's see if I want to. Tyler Reynolds. Tyler Reynolds was asking about this shirt, and so Tyler, we got plenty of merch. That's where you get it from. Go to Fluent, printified.me, and you can find all the good stuff.
Call your mother. Choice of players. Fluent and chill.
Check it all out.
And more.
Check it all out.
I have. You know what my favorite shirt is, by the way. Then we'll get back to basketball. And my favorite shirt. I'll leave this up for a minute. My favorite shirt is the one that says something to the extent of he doesn't know how good Tim Duncan was, and there's like a little thing of Tim Duncan. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it. I'm sorry. I don't know why that when you started screaming, "You don't know how good Tim Duncan was," I was just like, I know. Like, these guys don't realize.
What the hell was I listening to? It was incredible what I was listening to at that time. I thought I was losing my mind.
Like, you must hear some crazy stuff.
Yes.
What does it say? It says, "You have no idea how good."
You have no idea.
You have no idea. There's other. By the way, there's multiple colors, multiple choices to choose from.
Right.
This is my new. You're gonna hate this one, but this is my new favorite.
Air goat.
Yes, I have a king. I have a king 40K one. That one's coming. It needs to get but I mean, like, there's some cool stuff. This is my new hoodie that I'm gonna be rocking. The Sports Fluent established.
Yeah.
So there's lots of good stuff and more coming. We got hats, we got sweatshirts, we got t-shirts. Go support the brand. Should I recreate this one? Because this is an old version. Same with, like, there's this old version. There's also the one that chill with a basketball, fluent with a basketball. Like, so we've got some older versions. If you like the older stuff, let me know.
Yep.
We can definitely.
And this is where you can find it. For you guys that don't know, this is where you can find the stuff.
Me, I'm gonna take it off. Oh, there's a hat there too. Oh, that's a Fluent and chill hat, by the way. It's kind of, I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of small. But let me take that away because we're not here just to promote merch. So we got Minnesota. Do you want to talk about Minnesota, Boston in the final? Or we want to save that for now?
Let's hold on to that for a little.
Let's hold on to that. Okay. So Dallas beat OKC. Let's start on OKC quickly. Young team.
Yep.
SGA obviously came into his own this season. Was that a fluke, or does this team look like it's going to be able to take the next step moving forward?
I don't think it was a fluke in Oklahoma City. I think that they've done a great job in building this unit. The fact that SGA has emerged the way he has, what it has done, Tone, is it's pushed up the timeline now with SGA. Like, we can't just sit on what we've been doing. The fact that SGA has now emerged as an elite player, he's an all-NBA performer. We've now made it deep into the playoffs, into the semifinals, and Game 6. And we have this premier player. Well, we can't just sit on what we're doing and just hope to get better. No, now he's pushed up the timeline. So we got to make some moves, especially in the climate that we live in and the parity that we live in. Tone, don't forget, Game 7 with the exit of the Denver Nuggets, we're now in this decade looking at the 5th different champion. So that means that we're gonna have the 5th different champion in this decade. So that means that this thing is up for grabs. We can't sit around and wait to get better and hope that J-Dub gets better and wait for SGA to get even better. We already know that this guy is going to get better. I think SGA is the franchise player. I think J-Dub is going to get better. I think Chet's going to get better. I feel like that front line needs to get shored up. Not only does that front line need to get shored up, I feel like they do have to do a better job in upgrading. I feel like they can upgrade at Lu Dort's position. Maybe get a bigger guard who can score. Maybe take some of the defense, because what I don't want to do, Tone, is I don't want to do a Damian Lillard for Jrue Holiday thing. I'm not interested in doing that. No. What I do want to do is maybe I can get a little bit bigger at that position with Lu Dort. Maybe I can get a 6'5", 6'6" guy who can defend not as well as Lu Dort, but maybe put it in the basket, but still give me defense. Very similar to what's going on in Boston.
Move on from Lu Dort completely?
I want to upgrade from Lu Dort. I do want to do that. Here's why I want to do that, Tone. I want to do that because I'm seeing what the Boston Celtics did with Porzingis. They've upgraded from Robert Williams to Porzingis. We lost a little bit of defense, but we didn't lose all of it. We were able to keep some of that defense. We weren't able to keep some of that rebounding, but what we gained was a guy in a post who can score. We gained a stretch 5. We didn't get any of that from Robert Williams, any of that. So now with Lu Dort being the defender that he is, if I can get a bigger guy, maybe a 6'6" guy on the wing that can maybe knock down a shot or two, maybe knock down some more open shots and be more of a threat offensively and be a solid defender, I think that makes them better. I think that upgrading at the front line, I think that makes them better too. I don't think Oklahoma City was a fluke. No, I thought that they were a playoff team before the season started. I had them as a top 6 team, Tone. I did not have them as the best team in the Western Conference in the regular season. No, I did not have that. But I do think that they'll be hunted next year because I think Memphis will be back. I feel like Houston is on their way. I feel like teams in the Western Conference that are already there, I think Denver's going to be back. I think Minnesota is going to be back. So I think Oklahoma City, I feel like these teams are going to be back. Right, I feel like there's teams that are going to take a drastic drop off, like the Clippers. I'm good. I'm straight on the.
I'm just going to read this off to you, and then because it's part of my response. 21, 21, 24, 25, 22, 20. Those are the ages of every player on OKC that started more than 10 games.
Kids.
Kids. If I look at, I'm going to give you some more numbers. 25, 22, 21, 24, 21, 20, 24. I'll go to 15. 33, and 25. I'll throw in, and 25. Those are the players that played 15 minutes or more per game. That was in the regular season. In the playoffs, it's 25, 22, 24, 21, 20, 21, 24. There's no one over 25 that played more than 10 minutes a game in the playoffs. And the one guy who did play that was over 30 was Gordon Hayward, who said, there's a lot I could give this team. He played, 28 minutes and scored 0 points. So I don't know what he's going to give them, but
no, you're not.
or 48 minutes and scored 0 points. My point is this. I don't think they're a roster problem. I don't think Lou Dort as a bigger Lou Dort who could score. I'm going to go and say they need another year because you heard the ages. There's one guy who's 25. Everybody else is 21, 22 years old.
Kids.
We give these guys that are 21, 20 years old. I hear the excuses for them all the time. They're too young. Right? In 07, LeBron was only 22. In 2012, KD and Harden and those guys, they were babies. They were the baby Thunder. We make those excuses for these guys all the time. Here's a whole team. That's just one or two guys. This is a whole team.
Right.
My only fear is this. One, no offense to Gordon Hayward, I think they need a vet. I think they need a vet big man who can kind of be a versatile guy. I don't know who that guy is, but I think they need another veteran voice. Even if they keep Hayward, I think they need another veteran voice. My fear is it's Oklahoma City. And what happens in Oklahoma City is that they have this run. They win 57 games. They make it to the semis. They play really well. We're excited about their future. It's kind of like Orlando. And then what happens? Pieces start to leave. People start to go get paid. Listen, I'm not saying the entire reason Denver lost, and we're going to get to Denver in a second, is because Bruce Brown left. But that's the difference, is when you start to have success and you can go somewhere else and make significantly more money, you do, because you got to think about yourself.
Sure.
And can they keep these guys that are 21, 22 together for 3 more years? I don't know. If they do, I just think they need another vet and they're fine.
So you want to run it back then, Tone? That's where you at with.
I think when you're this young,
right?
I think you do. Look, listen. If you have an opportunity to upgrade a position, you upgrade the position. Like you'd be crazy not to.
Right.
But I think I'd run it back unless something, unless there's an opportunity that is just too good to pass up. Right? Like I wouldn't go out looking like the Robin Williams for Porzingis thing. That made sense because Robert Williams
couldn't say no to that.
Couldn't say no to that because one, although you were losing some defense, you were gaining so much back, and it's not like Williams was available all the time. He was also often hurt.
Right.
So to say, but Porzingis is hurt all the time. Right. Yeah, well, that part didn't matter. It was like, okay, I'm going to give this defender up and get a little bit of everything that can stretch the floor, which is how we want to play. That one made too much sense not to do it. So if there's an opportunity for, Dort for something equivalent where you're like, oh, okay, but I wouldn't give up a guy that you're like, who's their best offensive player? Okay, go get him. You don't give that up unless there's like a good, just for the sake of doing it, I guess.
Sure, I can appreciate that. But when I'm looking at this Oklahoma City team, I feel like, when you're young and you're still trying to figure it out, we're also trying to figure out positions. Like, I don't like J-Dub at the 3. I think J-Dub is a 2. That's why I want to upgrade Lou Dort. That's why I want to upgrade at the small forward spot. I want to get bigger at that spot. Off the strength that Lou Dort, sure, he's a solid defender, but the fact that, at 6'3", 6'4", he's dealing with 6'7" and 6'8" guys, as opposed to if I'm moving J-Dub to his natural position, which is the 2, and then I'm upgrading and I can get a 6'6" guy at the 3 spot. I can get a 6'6", 6'7" guy at the 3 spot that could give me 14 a game, but can also defend better and knock down open shots. I think that makes us way more viable. I don't think that I need another guy who's buckets. And the reason why I don't feel like I need another guy who's buckets, Tone, is because number one, I feel like Chet's going to be a better scorer next year. His ability to stretch the defense, crack the long ball, I think he's going to be better at that. SGA is already an elite scorer. I think J-Dub comes back next year as a better player. To be honest with you, Tone, I think he makes the All-Star team next year. I think he takes that next step and makes the All-Star team, moving him to the 2. I feel like if you can upgrade at that 3 spot and get better defensively, and if this offseason, who is because the Knicks can only afford to pay Hartenstein, I think $15 million. I think something like that. So guys like Hartenstein, Drummond, Valanciunas, those guys are at the top of my list if I'm in the Oklahoma City War Room. Check their temperature to find out who they are.
Heck, if I can get Valanciunas and a veteran small forward like you're saying, and move Dort to the bench,
We might be the favorites in the West next year.
We
may very well be the favorites in the West.
He absolutely should be. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We may be the favorites in the West next year.
That's OKC. The other team that went down in the West are the defending champs.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If this was any other player, and let me make sure I'm correct here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say that I'm, because I feel like I know it, but let me just okay. So if any other player had a season where they shot close to 59% from the field, 36% from 3, they go into game 7 and they shoot under 49%, almost a 10% drop, and I want to say 20% from 3. And we're considering them one of the greatest of all time, or one of the greatest at their position of all time.
Correct.
We're cooking them, right? They choked, couldn't get it done in the clutch.
Yep.
People changed the way they think about him. Well, listen, Jamal Murray has never even been an all-star. So for him to shoot 49% on whatever he shot in game 7, okay, he's not even an all-star. I'm sorry, he's played great, but the expectations aren't there for a guy who's not even the all-star. This falls on your best player, on the top 5 center of all time, the greatest playmaking big ever.
That's offensive big.
If it was anybody else, what are we saying? We're saying he choked, couldn't get it done. He's not him. And then you're going to say, well, Murray shot under 50%. You're going to say MPJ shot horribly. Well, right. He's this great playmaker. Isn't his job to give them opportunities to score easy buckets? This all falls on him. And I'm not saying this. I'm asking the question. If we do it to everybody else, right? If it was MJ, if it was LeBron, if it was Kobe, if it was Shaq, if it was Magic, if it was Kareem, if it was Bird, any but Tim Duncan,
Curry, Bryant, name them, line them all up.
If it was any of those guys who we consider all-time greats, and they did this especially, right? That when you do it matters. In game 7,
in your building,
at home,
in your building.
We're saying they choked.
Absolutely.
So are we giving Jokic a pass? Did he choke?
Well, 2 things, Tone. Number one, I've already been on record by saying that the 5 spot is the toughest spot to crack of the top 5. That's number one. Because those guys who've done it, they've done it for a long time. Number 2, when you win a championship, there's a bit of a grace period that some people have a tendency to give. For whatever reason, when you win a championship, especially when you immediately win a championship, there's a grace period that some people give as opposed to others. Now, in Joker's position, in Joker's space, I feel like if you got one game in your building, and you can win the NBA championship, right? You got one game in your building to not win the NBA championship, but to move on, you should be able to get it done. You as what everybody says you are, you should be able to get it done. There should not be a question of whether or not I wasn't there. Denver, Dallas, and I said this earlier, Tone, Dallas and Phoenix, Dallas and Phoenix, they both gave you the formula on how to slow down Denver. And what you do is you jump Joker on the glass. Once you jump Joker on the glass, you put them in a really precarious spot because Joker is their best rebounder. When you limit their amount of second chance opportunities, when you get on the glass, on the offensive glass, and you increase your second chance opportunities, you really put them in a bind. Aaron Gordon should be a way better rebounder than what he is, and he wasn't. MPJ should have been a way better rebounder than what he is, and he wasn't. Minnesota took them out of that series in that aspect. Because they did that, they put all the onus on Joker. I don't know if you noticed, Tone, but Joker, he had 4 rebounds in the second half. One of those rebounds, the game was already over. So he really only had 3 rebounds in the second half. And that was because, one, the shots at the rim, they weren't there like they were in the previous games. Rudy did a great job in keeping Aaron Gordon out of the dunker spot and keeping him away from the rim. I felt like he did a great job at that. Joker, on the other hand, if you look at you just brought it up, Tony, if you look at the box score and you see 34-17 and 3, 34-17 and 7, you're like, damn, he went off. No, if you watch the game, he had a lot of open threes that he missed. He got jumped a lot, and he got jumped a lot and doubled, and they took him out of the game. Not only that, Naz Reid did a damn good job in stretches dealing with him one-on-one. Not only did he do that, they got slowed down in the second half. Jamal Murray got the door shut on him by Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards did a great job in not only fighting around screens, he did a great job in staying in front of Jamal Murray and recovering. One of the things that made that two-man game between Jamal Murray and Joker so potent is that Jamal Murray creates a lot of space when he comes off that screen. He's not just coming off that screen tight and diving to the rim. No, he's coming off that screen wide and creating a lot of space. So now when that big man helps, he can't recover. Well, Ant was able to recover, which meant Rudy didn't have to recover that much, and Cat didn't have to recover that much. That bought them a lot of time. I thought that he did a great job at that. They basically took MPJ out of Game 7. Which is a problem that the Lakers couldn't solve.
And actually at the beginning of that series, that's what you said was the Lakers couldn't solve MPJ. Denver does have the personnel to do that, and that was going to be the difference in this series. Right. You said that. I did bring up this graphic. I wanted to Ant-Man getting rid of the Joker. I thought that was funny. I don't know if you see over here though. Do you see this guy? Do you know who that is?
Clown.
Let's zoom in on that clown a little bit.
That's James over there.
Is that who it is? I don't know.
Like James. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Looks like James. Yep.
Yeah, he's really upset.
Mm-hmm. That's not funny, Tom. Just so you know.
Oh, I love these things.
Already are.
James, that's okay. You're gonna get somebody to help. You need.
No, you're not. Actually, ladies and gentlemen, no, he's not. No, the days of James winning NBA championships. When Tone and I first started doing this 3 years ago. This September, Tone and I will be doing this 3 years. When we started doing this 3 years ago, I told Tone that the days of LeBron James winning NBA championships are over.
Then I hope the Lakers trade him because we need. If Boston wins this year, we're going to be down 1, so we're going to need. We're gonna need another one.
Those days are over. So, but back to Denver. Yeah. When you take out
was Bruce Brown. I'm sorry, I gotta interrupt. Was losing Bruce Brown? Did that really throw them off?
Not just Bruce Brown, Tone. I feel like losing Jeff Green, losing Bruce Brown. When you if you look at the teams in the playoffs right now, if you look at Minnesota, if you look at Indiana, you look at Dallas, they got good rotations. They don't just stick with a 6-7 man rotation. No, they go 8-9 deep. Denver wasn't able to do that. Denver went with Brown. They went with Holiday. I mean, Reggie Jackson, he gave them spare, which I think that they're going to upgrade Reggie Jackson next season. I think they're going to get younger in the backcourt, see if they can I feel like they can upgrade at that position and get younger at the backup lead guard spot. But with that being said, Mike Malone, which I thought was interesting in his post game, where he talked about, it's different when you're the champs. Teams come at you a little bit harder, and they go harder when we play against you. Well, I'm sorry, coach. When you got the belt, that's kind of what happens.
Yeah.
That's basically what happens.
Surprised? Why do you think it's so hard for teams to repeat and almost next impossible for teams to three-peat?
Right. That's what happens when you got the belt. There's a reason why you're on TV more. There's a reason why teams get up for you more than they get up for Toronto 2 nights ago. No, they're more prepared for you because you're the champs. Not only that, when you lose your rotation guys and you got teams in the playoffs that have better rotations, you're going to suffer because of that. You are going to suffer because of that.
Coach Mo, Paul McKeskey, right? We got next. That was his whole thing. He's like, I think Denver has a better starting five, but I think the depth is definitely on the Wolves' side.
After
that was his, the thing that stuck with me.
Sure, Tone. If you look at Denver's unit, so you got Jamal Murray and KCP in the backcourt. You got MPJ, Aaron Gordon, and Joker. After that, who are your rotation guys? Tone, you know how I feel about rotation and dirty work guys. You know how I feel about those guys. Who are those guys? Reggie Jackson.
Yeah.
Christian Brown.
Yeah. It's Braun. I don't care how he says it.
It's spelled Braun, but it's Brown. Okay. Reggie Jackson, Christian Brown, Holiday, right? Not only Holiday, but Najee. Najee played himself out of the lineup. Strother. Who are these guys? DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan became unplayable in this series. So you really only got 2 guys.
Well, that's what happens when you win, though, too. Like I said, right? Like Brown wouldn't, if they didn't win, Brown probably stays. But he got paid, so he left.
He had to go. He did. He did have to go. Peyton Watson didn't really get a lot of run. Peyton Watson, Reggie Jackson, Christian Brown, Holiday. I mean, when you're talking about rotation guys,
you don't want anybody that spent any time in that Braves system and they just bring bad juju to you. Okay, that's enough of the Nuggets. Let's move on. Where do we want to go next? So Joker. So do we agree that Joker choked? Because what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right?
Yes, we have to talk about Joker more. Absolutely, because if that was anybody, if that was Jason Tatum, how would we be talking about Jason Tatum? Right? If that was Kawhi Leonard, if that was James, and we ain't even talking about, like, Tone, you already mentioned the all-time greats. No, let's stay here. Let's stay in today's game, right? Let's stay. If that was KD, how are we talking about KD in Game 7 in his building up 20?
Yeah, but we already know KD's a fraud. So let me ask you this. Let's move to money. My favorite topic.
Damn.
Yes.
The top 15 trivia time. The top 15 paid players in the NBA. Do you know who they are, first of all?
The top 15 players. I don't.
All right. So I'll run down. No, I'm not going to run down the list. I'll run down the list in a moment. Of the top 15 paid players in the NBA this season, how many are still in the playoffs?
I don't think any of them are, Tone.
I'm
sorry. I think Jaylen Brown, but his money doesn't show up until next year. I don't think.
That's next year.
Yeah, his money doesn't show up until next year. I don't think any of those guys.
I'm is say 0. You say 0? You're close. Green, typical. You're wrong. It's 1.
One guy.
Rudy Gobert, Steph Curry out, Durant out, James out, Jokic out, Embiid out, Beal out, Giannis out, Lillard out, Kawhi and George from the Braves out, Butler, Clay. Clay's crazy to me. Van Vliet, which is ridiculous, by the way. Wow. And number 15, I don't think you can see, is Anthony Davis. There, can you see Anthony Davis?
Yes. Yep, I can see him.
Mm-hmm. So Anthony Davis, what's up, homie? All out. Rudy Gobert. Mm-hmm. Rudy Gobert got a lot of slack for his inability to handle Jokic one-on-one, and that Cat was doing a better job.
Mm-hmm.
Does that matter?
It does matter to me because number one, I feel like he got a raw deal because to be honest with you, I don't think he did a bad job. I really don't. I thought that he did a lot better than what a lot of people give him credit for. I'm watching him, and with the exception of I think it was game 5. Yeah, with the exception of game 5 when they beat them, and I think Rudy went like 40 and 11 or 40 and 12, something like that. With the exception of those two, of that game, I think Joker shot under 50% when he was matched up against Rudy Gobert. Now, Rudy Gobert one-on-one as a defender, I feel like Joker took advantage of some mismatches. I also feel like these guys, Naz Reid, I feel like Cat, I feel like they guarded him in stretches good, but I feel like there was more help for those guys as opposed to Rudy, who had to cover him more one-on-one in space, as opposed to those guys where there was way more help. Not only was there way more help, there was way more help frequently, as opposed to Rudy. He was left on Joker one-on-one. Now, don't get me wrong, Tone. I'm the defensive player of the year. As the defensive player of the year, I expect you to handle him. But I've also seen the defensive player of the year get his ass cracked. I watched Olajuwon eat David Robinson lunch. I saw that. I watched Shaq destroy Dikembe Mutombo.
I don't understand that narrative that being the defensive player of the year means what? That you're the greatest one. It doesn't mean, sorry, let me rephrase. It doesn't mean you're the greatest one-on-one defender against every single person in the league. It doesn't. And so I think listen, can he get exposed? Yeah. Can every defensive player of the year go down the list? Can we show them getting exposed? 1,000,000%, because it doesn't mean you're unbeatable. It doesn't mean no one can score on you. Like those things aren't together.
Right. Night. Night. Love you.
Coming out of everywhere.
Yes.
So that's why, I see the point of, hey, you're supposed to be the depoy,
Right.
But at the same time, what do you expect? If we're talking about this guy like he's one of the greatest centers of all time, right? Like he's the best offensive big we've ever seen. Why are you surprised? Why are you surprised? And to that point, when they say, well, Cat did a better job on him, yeah. Isn't there guys that had no business playing against you like, did Rex Chapman not go off against Michael Jordan? That happened, right? Did Shaq not have a problem with Bryant Big Country Reeves? Man, right? Like those things happen.
Oh, you should see his face when he would talk to me about him. Like, Jermaine, I don't know what to do with this dude. And it wasn't in tone, it wasn't dramatic, it wasn't what the hell? It was, Jermaine, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this dude. I don't know what to do with him. I don't know how to stop him with that dumbass jumper that he keeps hitting on me. I don't know what to do with this guy. I don't know. And it happens. It happens. But then I got to listen to people tell me that, Rudy is playing himself off the floor, which we completely leave out the fact that Rudy wasn't going up against a good player. He was going up against the best player in the league. He was going up against the best player in the league. And he was doing what he could to handle himself against him. But other than that, overall, as a roamer, as a rim protector, as a rebounder, he was awesome in this series. But I'm the defensive player of the year, and I'm going up against another great big, so I have to do my job and hold my own against them. But I wonder if we had the same energy for Marcus Smart when he went up against Steph Curry in the finals in 22.
Of course.
I don't know if I remember hearing that. I don't know if I remember hearing us talk about. I'm pretty confident, Tone. I didn't hear people talking about how Dikembe Mutombo got his lunch eaten by Shaq in 2001 in the finals. I'm confident that I didn't hear that
because they weren't fly-by-night, wishy-washy people, right? Like, okay, you went up against one of the best offensive players, and they beat you. Yep. Yeah. Offense will always beat defense one-on-one. Always. Now, does that mean offense will always beat defense in a series when we're talking team? No. But if it's one-on-one, if I'm the better offensive player, anyways. So you brought up defense. So let's talk about defense when you're talking about depoy. I just want to point out that after a slow start, Indiana right back in it, 55-49 with 4 minutes to go in the first half. First team All-NBA. No surprise. There's Rudy, the depoy. We've got Anthony Davis. We've got Herb Jones, your guy. Victor Wembanyama. And bam, Adebayo. So by my counts, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 centers,
4 bigs,
and a power forward / small forward in Herb Jones. He's listed as a power forward, but let's positionless basketball. In any other year, you'd have 2 centers on getting first and second all team. Here you got 5 on first team alone.
4 of them.
What is this gonna mean for the future? Like, are we just diluting accolades right now?
That's what it looked like to me, Tone. And we're going to get a whole bunch of people upset because when the league turns into, which is what I think it's going to turn into, which is a bunch of these guys, number one on the Spurs, that's what the league is going to look like in the next 10, 15 years. And when your Wemby is not picked, you're not going to be happy about this. And the reason why you're not going to be happy about this is because you feel like your Wemby should be on the team, when in reality, this is what the league is going to look like. Is this the 5 best defenders in the game?
Sorry. Quickly before you say that, sorry. I just got to, because I'll forget. You told me this Wemby was going to be the new, like that's where every team's going to have one, and I was like, hell no. I just saw a kid today, 7'7" in the 7th grade, and he's making his threes. He's got in the 7th grade. Okay, sorry, go ahead. 7'7".
So now this is what we have here, right? And is this the 5 best defenders in the game? If I don't think so, right? But even if that's true, right? Even if that's true, when you take out positions, what you do is you take out the competition. It meant something, Tone, if I played a 5 spot to be first team All NBA, because I got to go up against Olajuwon. I got to go up against David Robinson. I got to go up against Ewing. I got to go up against Mutombo. I got to go up against Alonzo Mourning. So it meant something when I made first team All NBA. It meant something when I made first team All NBA as a point guard, because I got to go up against Jason Kidd. I got to go up against John Stockton. I got to go up against Gary Payton. I got to go up against the better defensive guards in the game, Sidney Moncrief. I got to go up against these guys. So it meant something. So when you do this right here, you're taking the competition aspect out of it. And I feel like it means more when you keep that in it. The idea of this whole thing being positionless. When we get to that point where your Wemby, when we get to that point where your Anthony Davis or your Rudy Gobert is now not on the All-League defensive team, you are going to have a problem. I'm telling you right now, wait till we see the All-NBA team. It's going to be even worse. It's going to be even worse when the All-NBA team comes out tomorrow. You just wait.
Sorry, we interrupt this chill moment for breaking news. The Indiana Pacers have tied it up 59-59.
No.
This is a game, ladies and gentlemen, but 129 left, which means you'll be joining us here at halftime. You think it's going to be just the same with the All NBA team?
Watch.
You think it's going to be all all guards, all forwards, all?
What happens? Watch. And when you have 25 and 12 guys not making the All NBA team, when you have 26 or 27 and 7 guys not making the All NBA team, off the strength that it's going to be all guards or it's going to be all forwards. Watch this whole position. The Tone, I can't reiterate this to you enough. When we have positions, we have competition. Anthony Edwards at the 2-guard spot. It means something to be the best 2-guard in the game. But if I let you tell it, I don't mean you specifically, but if I let you tell it, it means more to be the best guard in the game. No, it means everything to be the best 2-guard in the game. And if we're going positionless, 1, don't tell me that Anthony Edwards is the next Michael Jordan, and 2, don't tell me that Steph Curry's the best point guard in NBA history. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. I'm not listening to that anymore. If we're gonna do that, don't tell me that again.
You want to go 2 centers, 2 forwards, 1 guard?
No, I don't. And I'm not one of these people, Tone, who doesn't know how to change with the times. You know what? I don't have a problem experimenting on this. You want to experiment on this? Let's do it. You want to see how this works? Let's do it. So in years to come, when we have 5 Like I haven't seen the second team all league.
I'm about to show you.
Yeah,
But do you think those 5? Like, if I asked you, tell who are the best, since it's positionless.
Yep.
Who are the top 5 defenders in the NBA? Would you have said those 5?
No, I would not have, to be honest with you. And the reason why I said, number one, and I got a lot of heat for this, I'm not sure Bam is a better defender than Evan Mobley. I'm not sure he is.
Well, you're going to be surprised then, because he didn't make the list.
This is what I'm talking about, Tom. So, like Drew Holiday, Alex Caruso. So we got 5. So we got 1 forward and 4 guards on the all-league defensive team.
And isn't there a little bit of a bias? Like, when you look at all, depoys, etc., it goes to bigs more often. They're typically the more defensive-minded, and by that I mean not just because of their size and their position, but also because what the coaches ask them to do. If you're 7 foot, you're probably should be a better rebounder. You should be blocking more shots, right? Like, you should be. Am I wrong?
No, that's your job as a big. If you 6'10" and you 6'11" and you play defense like that, you should do that more. That's why you're actually out there on the floor. So, like these guys, for example, Alex Caruso should be a first-team All-League defender. He 100% should be a first-team All-League defender. Jaden McDaniels should be a first-team All-League defender at the forward spot, because that's the way it's constructed. You got 2 guards, 2 forwards, and a 5-man. It's only 1 5-man. It's not 2 5-men. It's only 1. Because that's the way this whole thing is put together. I got a point guard, I got a 2 guard, I got a small forward and a power forward, and I got a 5-man. And the fact that Giannis Antetokounmpo is not on this list.
That was one of the names I was going to ask you about.
Giannis Antetokounmpo are you telling me that of all the guys, Giannis Antetokounmpo should not be on this list? As good as Giannis is as a defender, as good as Giannis is as a rebounder, as good as Giannis is as a recovery defender, Milwaukee, I've said this all season, they were fool's gold and they were bad defensively. But one of the main reasons why they were good defensively, was because of when Giannis was on the floor. You guys tell me, and I think it's nuts when you tell me this, because I think you're trying to turn, not you, Tone, but I think you guys are trying to turn Wemby into something that he's not yet. I just want to make sure we remember, Manute Bol led the league in blocks as a rookie. He finished 2nd in Defensive Player of the Year. He didn't finish higher than 4th for the rest of his career for Defensive Player of the Year. He didn't finish higher than 4th. I don't want to turn this kid into something that he's not yet. I'm not saying that Wemby's not going to be a great defender. I'm on record saying I feel like him and Evan Mobley are going to be the class of the front line for the next decade. But I'm not ready to turn him into the best defensive player, or he should have been the Defensive Player of the Year when he on a team that was at the bottom of the Western Conference in defense. And don't tell me that, well, when he was on the floor, they were 3rd in the league. Well, why wasn't he on the floor more? One, availability matters. The fact that you should be playing matters. Just like I had a problem last year with Alex Caruso being a first-team All-League defender. We only played 22 minutes a game. He was barely playing half the game.
Yeah, it's easy. It's easy to look good doing something when you don't have to do it that much.
Right. Barely playing half the game. When you only playing 23, 24 minutes, that's not enough. That's absolutely not enough. And I feel like Wemby, he's going to be there. But when you look at the schemes in defense, when you look at communication, is Wemby on the same page with does Wemby understand the game defensively like Rudy does? I don't think he does.
No, and here's the thing. As much as I tried to make the case, right, when I was saying about Wemby and we were talking about the depoy versus, I was just trying to keep it out of Rudy's hands. But that being said, and I have so much to say here, let me start with the first one.
Yep.
If it was by position and the centers were, let's say, Rudy and AD,
right,
just at center, and Wemby missed it, people forget the psychology of this, because I feel like this positionless now becomes like everybody gets a trophy, because now Wemby's like, well, what do I got to shoot for? I already got rookie year. I already got first team. Why do I got to get better? However, had it been the previous way and it was Rudy 1, AD 2, and Wemby and Bam are off, that gives those guys motivation. I'm sorry when people say they shouldn't. They're professionals. They get paid millions of dollars. That's a little crap, because they do need that motivation. They do need something to work on. I didn't make first team. That's going to be my goal, is to make second or first team, whatever, next year. How are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to do this and then that's what they go and work on in the off season. I don't listen. I'm going to admit, I don't watch a lot of Magic games. I don't. Is Jalen Suggs a better defender than Lou Dort, Kawhi Leonard, Chet Holmgren, Jared Allen, Giannis?
I think he's a damn good defender, but Tone, I'm not going that far.
I didn't say he was. Again, I'm not saying. I'm not. When I say is this person better, I'm not saying that the person. I'm not saying Suggs stinks. My question is, I didn't see him enough. Is he better than those guys? Because I heard nothing. About him being better than those guys all season long, and yet here he is.
And on top of that, like, what's the problem with Wemby not being a first team All League defender? What's the problem with him? What's the problem with him not making the All League defensive team? And then next year we're moving. Now, don't get me wrong. If he deserves to be on it, sure. Just like Tim Duncan being a first team All League performer as a rookie. I had no problem with that, because if I look at what Tim Duncan did as in his rookie season, he was fantastic.
Tim Duncan was putting up to pretty much what he was doing when in his prime.
Yes. Was Tim Duncan one of the 5 best defenders in the game as a rookie? No, I don't know if I'm going that far. I even though he did make the All League defensive team, once 100% he made the All League defensive team. But when I think about when I think about the All NBA team, number one, when you're talking about these awards, Tone, when you're talking about putting these guys on these teams, winning matters. When you're talking about being a first team All League performer, winning matters. I can't put a dude, just like last year when I saw Luka and Shea become first team All NBA performers. That's never happened in my lifetime. When a guy made first team All NBA and I don't remember that happening in my lifetime, when a guy making first team All NBA and his team didn't make the playoffs. Your team did not make the playoffs. Because if you're a first team All League guard, whether you're an All League defender or you're an All NBA performer, what you're telling the world when you vote this guy onto the All League team is he is one of the best players in the game. Not only is he one of the best players in the game, this is how he's affecting winning. This is how he affects winning. And this is a result of it. This right here. And Marquavian, stop telling me that Wemby is him. No, he is not. He doesn't understand coverages like Rudy Gobert. He doesn't understand coverages like Anthony Davis does. He doesn't understand switches. He doesn't understand communication like these guys do. And the reason why he doesn't understand this is because he hasn't been there yet. I ain't saying that he's not going to be there. He's absolutely going to be there. I won't argue that, Tone.
No, but people do confuse that raw talent and
I won't argue that. I will not argue that. I won't, Tone. I will not argue the fact that Wemby is a ridiculous talent. But when you talk about understanding the game, understanding coverages, understanding communication, understanding rotations, Wemby is the big kid in the playground, Tone, that's bigger than all the other kids. That's who he is. He's just a bigger, faster kid than all the other kids. But when he understands how to play defense at a high level, when he understands coverages, when he understands rotations, when he understands how to rebound better, when he understands how to block shots better, how much better is he going to be as a defender? I don't think he's there yet, and you're trying to put him there. That's what you're trying to do. And don't tell me that you never said he wasn't the smartest player.
And it hurts him. It hurts him in the long run too, because again, they're going to think that they don't have to get better. I don't know Wemby personally to say that's his mindset, but we've seen it so many times before. 64-64, by the way, at half, Pacers and Celtics. So this is up to be a game. How about Miles Turner? Without Porzingis there available, leading all scorers with 18 in the first half. That might be something to watch as this series moves forward. I'm going to go into some young talent here in a second.
Sure. Before
I do that, positionless, this is going to get ugly, real ugly. Leaf preaching to the choir, man. Preaching to the choir. Because here's the funny part is people really, they hear the word positionless and they really think that it's positionless. And it's not. the positions have expanded and they're asked to do more, but you still have a position and a role on the floor.
No, you don't, Tone. Just throw these guys on the floor and figure it out.
And run around.
We don't have a point guard. We don't have a 2 guard. We just got guards and forwards. We don't really have a 5-man. We don't have a center.
You have guards and forwards. You just have 5 guys running around.
It. We don't have positions. We just got guys rocking. That's it.
What is the conversation if Ant wins the chip and Finals MVP?
What is the conversation? He's going to be one of the faces of the league next year. He goes into the next season. I feel like bona fide as a top 10 player, arguably a top 5 player. That's something that they're gonna push.
That conversation.
Yep.
Super off topic, but I think not near as many people talk about the 2014 Spurs team that won it all. I feel like you can stack that team up with almost every great team all time.
Sure. I won't argue that. I think that 2014 Spurs team, that was some of the most beautiful basketball I've ever seen. It is. The way that the ball hopped, the way that the ball moved, 100% it was.
Is football like the NFL? Is it big? Is it popular?
Is NFL football popular in the States or globally?
I'm keeping it an ambiguous question for a reason. Is it popular?
It is popular. It's very popular. 100%.
You know who the most followed NFL player is?
I thought it was Tom Brady.
On Instagram.
I thought it was Tom Brady.
It is OBJ.
Oh, how about that?
With 17.6 million. Let me zoom in on that number. 17.6 million people.
Wow.
That seems pretty good, right? Seems pretty good.
Yeah.
Would you agree? Seems pretty good.
Almost 20 million people? Yeah, sure.
When I tell you that basketball, because people don't listen, when I tell you that basketball is significantly more popular than the NFL globally, this is why I say
almost 160 million people following this dude on Instagram.
159 million people.
Wow.
And then when I tell you, you only think those two sports are popular because you live in a world where you don't see outside of your country's borders.
Mm-hmm.
People call me nuts. They say I'm crazy. They say, Fluent, you no idea what you're talking about. And I say, guys, this dude plays cricket.
Yikes.
This dude plays cricket.
What?
Yeah. He plays cricket. And Jay, you know, cricket's pretty popular.
Clearly.
Globally. Do you know what's more popular globally?
What's that?
Soccer.
Yes, it is. He's got 500 million followers. Are you kidding me right now?
So when I tell you,
wow, he's got almost 500 million followers. Over 500 million followers. That's incredible.
When I tell you, you're living in a bubble, and when you talk about global, right. And I tell you stop it, you have no idea what you're talking about, and you're like, LeBron. I'm not picking on him, but because he's the biggest NBA guy, and you say LeBron James, and I go, not even half. Okay, and you're right, Bubba G cuts. Ronaldo probably has more than Messi. I just pulled up Messi because that's the first name that popped in my head. I literally was going to do Ronaldo or Messi. Dude, there's so much more. They are so much more popular globally. When you look at the revenue, Leaf, they're not anomalies. Leaf only doesn't even leave the state of New York. When you look globally, these other sports are huge.
I still don't understand exactly what the concept of cricket is. It
cricket
seems
is kind of like baseball.
That's what I was about to say. It seems like baseball a bit. I'm not sure if I understand it.
It's got a weird throwing motion. They bounce.
Yeah, they don't wear gloves, stuff like that. But to have 200 and almost 70 million people following you on Instagram, Is that and you play cricket? Like, what else does this dude do? Because he can't just play cricket. Is that it?
Just a cricketer.
Wow. So that means cricket is a big deal, yo. Yeah, cricket is a big deal, man. For real, it is. Wow. Cricket is a big deal.
I just thought I'd throw it out there because I was having some conversation with people and I was like, dude, like you have no idea what you're talking about. You like people say, well, football's the biggest argument is football's more popular.
No, it's not.
And I'm like, no, football's more popular in the US.
Right.
But outside of the US, like, okay, there's some spots in England. No one gives a crap.
That's why they're trying to that's why they have NFL games in Germany. That's why they have an NFL games in Mexico.
There's some. Oh, you do leave the city? Okay, my bad.
Well, they have. That's why they have NFL games in Germany. That's why they have NFL games in London because they're trying to popularize pro football overseas because it clearly isn't what I think it is over there. When you got a cricket player, one cricket player. So if this one cricket player has got almost 270 million followers, I'm sure there's another guy in the cricket league that got like 150 million people following him.
100%.
I'm sure that there's another guy that got like 75 million following him. Yeah, I'm sure of it.
And the question, of course, is where am I going with this? There's a report. Out of the Middle East that the Saudi Basketball League is going to offer Bronny James like a ridiculous $400 million contract to play in Saudi in an attempt to lure his dad to go there and legitimize that league. Because if he goes there, automatically it's legit. And so they're like, hey, we're going to pay, fully guarantee it. Like it's basically they're going to try to do what Liv did in golf, where they just paid all these PGA guys a ridiculous amount of money to come over there. Do you think that is possible?
Not all money is good money, Tom.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
It isn't.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
My brother works in finance, and he's proven to me more than once, more than twice. Not all money is good money, and where you get your money from does not necessarily make it good money. And
I'm going to write this down. Not all money is good money. I'm going to make a shirt, but I disagree.
Because now don't get me wrong. I would have to listen if somebody's offering my son $400 million.
Let's be clear.
To move to Saudi Arabia.
LeBron James, people think LeBron James is a billionaire, but he's only his net worth, which doesn't mean cash on hand. That includes properties, investments, estimate is $1 billion. They're going to offer his son half of his net worth in cash.
Which helps now because I can actually go buy a team in cash.
Now see, you saw the path I was clearing there in the jungle.
I could actually do that. I could go now that this gives me the capital. Depending on how long we would have to stay over there. Like how long would we have to stay over there? Is this a 1-year deal? Is this a 3-year deal? How long would we have to stay in Saudi Arabia? And what would we have to do in Saudi Arabia? But to be honest with you, I know how money can ruin a lot of things. And I'm thinking to myself, $400 million is a lot of money. What would I have to do for this money? Because they ain't just handing this money over to me and all I got to do is come over there and play. Nah, I think it's a lot more than that.
You're gonna be the face of the league. You're gonna have to promote the game. Yeah. You're gonna have to learn how to play basketball at a high level. Which I don't think you can do.
I just don't get me wrong, Tone. When that's why I have a difficult time with Bronny James with this whole drafting because he's not in it for the reasons a lot of these other guys are in it. Like it's not for the bread. A lot of these guys they leave school early because my family's in a destitute situation and I ain't in it for that. I come from bread, so I don't have to worry about. I don't have to worry about that.
That ain't his.
Well, it is. It's not necessarily. No. It's not technically mine.
No. But who said? Steve Harvey. I want to say it was Steve Harvey. One of his kids was like, or maybe it was Shaq. You know what? Maybe it was Shaq. He was like, but we're rich. And he's like, nah, I'm rich.
No, that was Bill Cosby, actually.
Was it Bill Cosby?
Bill Cosby.
No, I think multiple people have said it. No, I'm rich.
Mm-hmm.
You're not rich. No, right. Because I remember somebody saying, come to me with a business plan and we can talk about, how to invest, et cetera, et cetera.
Jordan did say that about his kids. Like he told his kid that come to me with it when he wanted. I feel like he wanted to open up a shoe store, and his kid was like, "Yo, I want to do this." And instead of Jordan just giving him money, hey, I need to see a business plan. Show me what your plan is. Show me what kind of investments you got. Why should I invest in this? Because I'm not just giving you, $500,000. No, I'm not doing that. That's not the way business works.
If you were Bronny and you were offered $400 million, and it allows you to, because really you're going to step out of dad's shadows.
Sure.
Right. Because if you go play in the NBA, you're always going to be compared to this. And let's be clear. I want to say it was Joy Taylor. So I'm going to steal this from her. I'll give her credit for it though. Who said, we don't compare Luka. We don't compare Jokic. We don't compare, Ant to LeBron James because the standard is too high.
Right.
But we're going to compare his son.
Right.
Just because he's his dad. Like, what an unfair comparison to be shoved down your throat. So now he gets to go play where he'll probably be one of the better players in the league. I would assume. I
don't know. I don't know what's going on in the Saudi Arabian basketball league. Right. I don't know what's going on in the Saudi. I don't know what's terrible. I don't know what's going on in the Saudi Arabian basketball league. But
I'll tell you now, I'll take it.
I mean, 400. Don't get me wrong, Tone. $400 million in cash. That's a lot of bread. But all money ain't good money. And the way I'm thinking is, what do I have to do for this? What is it going to cost me later on?
I don't care. I don't care. All money's good money.
I've never really seen it like that, Tone. I have not. But I think about this kid, Bronny James, and I think about where he is athletically. I'm just trying to figure out what the rush is. What is the rush? Why are you? Well, I wouldn't have touched the basketball, to be quite honest with you, if that was my father. No, because I'm never going to be that good, and that's going to be the standard for me. That no matter what I do, that's going to be the standard for me. John Stockton's son was in the G League, and I think Tony was like leading the league in assists. It still wasn't good enough.
I feel like if my dad was a journeyman.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If he was just look at the sons, right? When you look at their dads, right? Like the sons that have made it, right? Jelly Bean.
Right.
Made sense. He wasn't a star. So, Kobe made sense. Gary Trent, senior. Journeyman, right? No problem. So, those guys where, their dads weren't, and this is no disrespect to any of the names I'm saying, but they weren't superstars. Right. It's like, can you name a superstar who had a superstar son?
No, I
can't. I can't think of any. Now there might be some. Please in the chat, let me know. But
Dolph Shays, maybe
Sabonis, but maybe.
Sabonis, but I don't think Sabonis is a superstar. So he's definitely a star.
And his dad in the NBA wasn't a superstar either. No, like he was a superstar in Europe, but he was not a superstar in the NBA. So that's what I'm saying is. There's not, Scottie Pippen Jr. He's not
right.
Right.
I can't. To be honest with you, I can't name anybody, Tone. If I'm thinking off the top of my head, so because it doesn't. A lot of these guys, in terms of superstars, their kids don't translate into being superstars. That just doesn't happen.
No, but this is a good one, Mingle. Right, Del Curry wasn't a superstar. He was a good shooter, but a journeyman. Right, was on multiple teams. Mm-hmm. Okay, son comes out, and and he had a couple. The Berries, right? There's the Berry family. That's insane.
None of them dudes was Brent and Scooter. None of them dudes were stars. None of them. I mean, Brent Barry, his claim to fame was he won a dunk contest. He was on that Spurs team that won a championship, but for the most part, he won a dunk contest. That's the player that he's remembered as being.
The Thompsons?
Michael Thompson was not a superstar. He was a good player in the league. He was not a superstar.
Hold on. Was Clay a superstar?
I don't think Clay was ever a superstar. I think Clay was a star.
I think that's another one where
I don't think he was ever a superstar.
I think
do
people
think
are
he
way
was a
too loose
star.
with superstar, right?
Yeah, I definitely think he was a star. I don't think he was a superstar.
I think we did find one. I think we did find. Actually, this is probably three because you got Jordan and Jimmy, and don't forget Ant. You got
Y'all ain't never gonna let that go, are you? You guys are gonna beat me over the head with that until I'm blue in the face. That Michael Jordan and Jimmy Butler are on some level related.
No, and Ant as well. He's got another one. He was in Washington at the same time of the birth of Ant.
I don't think he had anything to do with that.
I'm just putting it out there. Last thing, and then I want to open it up to the chat. How far back? I know you go really far back, but how far back do you feel? Let's go to the 70s. Let's go to the 70s. Who was the greatest player of the 70s?
There were some great players in the 70s. Dave Cowens was awesome. Havlicek was awesome.
I'm talking face of the NBA.
But the guy in the 70s was Jabbar.
When Jabbar started to get older, and older, unfortunately, in those days was 30, 31, 32. Who took over the NBA?
When Jabbar at age 30, that was in 78. Yeah, that was in 78. So he still was the face of the league. We didn't have one guy like Moses was on his way. Doc had just shown up in 77. So Doc was becoming the face of the league. The NBA was in a transition period during that time. The Iceman was becoming something serious also. Michael Thompson, not Michael Thompson, I'm sorry. Went to North Carolina State. Why am I drawing a blank on his name? The high flying dude, Thompson.
Michael Thompson?
Not Michael Thompson. It might have been Michael Thompson, maybe. But anyway, it wasn't. It was
David Thompson.
David Thompson. That's what I'm thinking about, Tone. Right. So when Jabbar at age 30 years old, I mean, Doc had just shown up. George Gervin was becoming something serious. David Thompson was still in the league doing his thing. So, guys like that. But Jabbar was still the face of the league because it was still a big man league.
Jabbar's the face until like Magic Bird.
Yeah. Yes.
So then Magic Bird kind of take over.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they pass that on to Jordan, who honestly single-handedly is the face of the league for a decade. He passes it really to Kobe, but Shaq, Kobe, Duncan. But I'm going to say Kobe because I'm biased. Mm-hmm. Kobe then passes on to LeBron, and LeBron refuses to let go. I ain't giving that up. And then we move into a situation where, and there's more, but you got Luka at 25, Tatum at 26, Ant at 22. You got Jokic, who's probably I don't even know how old Jokic is. I'm not going to lie.
I think he just turned 25.
No.
Yeah, I think he just turned 25 this year.
I thought he was 27. He's not 25.
No, he ain't that old, Tone. No.
Are you sure?
When he showed up in 18, he was only 19, Tone. That was only 5 years ago.
He was born in 95. Yeah, he's 29, bro.
What?
He was born February 19th, 1995. He is 29 years.
Luka Doncic is 29 years old. He is not 29 years old.
Not Luka. Luka's right there. He's 25.
Who are you talking about, Tom?
Jokic.
Oh, I thought you said Luka. I'm sorry.
Did I say Luka? I thought I said Jokic.
Yeah, I'm like,
I do say.
Right. I was like, wait a minute. What? Luka is not 29 years old. What are you talking about? Yeah.
All these white guys look alike. I do mix up their names every once in a while. I'm allowed to say that. Jokic is 29. Jokic is 29.
Right.
But still, the league is very talented and very young.
Sure.
Has the league ever been in such good hands from a collective?
When I think about when it was in a transition, so when Magic and Bird and Jordan shows up in 84, Doc is on his way out in 87, Barkley shows up, Olajuwon shows up, all of these great players show up. We had the mishap in 86 when Lenny ended up passing away. But then David Robinson shows up in 87. He didn't end up showing up until 89 because he had to wait 2 seasons. But Ewing showed up in 85. So we had and Bird was still great. So when we made that transition into the 90s with Ewing being, 25, 26 years old, Olajuwon being what he was at that point, Gary Payton shows up in 1990. To answer your question, Tone, the league is a lot younger. So because the league is a lot younger, I don't think that we've seen it being in better hands. I'm not going to say that it wasn't in good hands in the 2000s when you were making the transition from the old, like Malone and Jordan and those guys, to Vince Carter and Garnett and Tim Duncan. When you're moving on to these guys, because the league has gotten so young, I feel like this is sustainable for longer. Like we didn't really get to see these guys for a long enough time. Like when the league got handed over to Bryant and Vince and Ray Allen and Tracy McGrady, like we didn't get to see those guys like Tracy McGrady. We didn't get to see Tracy McGrady. How many years did Tracy McGrady have at that level? Like Tracy McGrady got handed that he got handed over the mantle in like 2001, 2002. Like Tracy McGrady was awesome for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say 4 or 5 like that. Yeah. Not even his last year, because that was really that was when they screwed it up, right? Because rookies after 3 years they can move,
right?
And so Toronto drafts him at 18 at a high school. By the time he gets 21 and he's full grown, he's off to Orlando,
right?
And then he has 3. I was gonna say 3 to 5 years. So 4, sure.
Vince Carter shows up in 98. He has, in terms of elite seasons, I'd say Vince from maybe 2002, 2001, that last year in Toronto, to probably I'm going to say 2008. So probably between 5 to 7 years, Vince was awesome, and then he became a good player. I won't argue that he became a good player after that, but he was elite. Ray Allen showed up in 96. From I'm going to say probably 2000 to 2006, Ray Allen was awesome. So I think that because the league is younger, we get to see these guys longer. Like we get to see Giannis. Giannis, we're going to get 10 years out of Giannis, 10, 12 years out of Giannis. We're going to get Jason Tatum, barring injuries. He's been in the league 7 years. We've gotten probably 4 or 5 elite seasons out of him. I think we're going to get 5 or 6 more. So to answer your question, I'm not sure that the league has been in better hands.
And that's what I'm saying, is that when I look at top to bottom, who's in the league right now, between, you still have LeBron playing phenomenal. You've got these guys like, I can't believe these are the elder statesmen, like Giannis, like Jokic, right? And then you've got the Lukas, the SGAs. He wasn't even on that graphic. Tatum, Ant. Like, I'm telling you, from the age of 20 to 30, I don't know that we've had, and you know how I feel about superstars. I only give 3-4 guys that title a year. But you've got like 20 guys in the league that are superstar capable. And I don't think we've ever had that. I think it's amazing.
And I feel like they're going to be around for a while too, Tone.
And I think they're going to be. And we didn't even talk about Wemby and the new guys coming in.
I feel like they're going to be around for a while. I feel like that's the good part about it. I definitely feel like they're going to be around for a while.
What's up?
Have you left New York recently?
Yeah. I've been to Texas. I've been to Czech Republic as well. I've been there for 7 days. And we toured all of the countries around Czech Republic. I had a layover flight in Norway. It was like the coldest 30 seconds off the plane to the terminal ever.
Czech, where'd you go? Did you go to Dubrovnik? It's beautiful there.
No. In Norway, I was in.
In Czech. Did you go to Dubrovnik?
In Czech? No. I was in Prague.
Oh, okay.
I was in Prague. My friend got married. A friend of mine got married back in January of 2019. Right. It was like right before the thing. I was supposed to go to Egypt, but as you know, I'm from Brooklyn, so my pockets is a little bit on napkin time. So yeah.
You couldn't go to Egypt because you're from Brooklyn? Is that what you just said?
No, I'm going. I can't go to Brooklyn because I ain't got the money that you got.
Oh, fair enough. What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm all right, gentlemen. What's going on? Listen, this I definitely got to agree with Chilltown in terms of the quote unquote mantle of the quote unquote face of the league. When you have an individual like LeBron James that's had it for so long, by the time he's ready, if he's still able to put up these numbers, he's not going to be able to ready to give it up. He has to be completely out of the picture in order for us to have a clear cutting face. In my opinion, he has to be completely out of the picture. That means
so you don't think someone could take it?
No, and I think that's the one thing, and you know how much Fluent Chilltown knows how much I despise LeBron James, but I have to agree with him on this.
When it matters, Tone, the reason why that face of the league thing, like for example, with LeBron James, the reason why it was what it was because it was attached to winning. So we can't have inconsistent winning. So when you talk about a guy like Giannis was on a trajectory to do that. Had he been able to win more, you can now phase guys out a little bit more when you winning. That's why Jordan was able to do that in the 90s because he started winning. So now those other guys who could possibly be that, well, now we can put the league behind this guy because he's winning. I mean, that because he gives us credibility, as opposed to a guy where he does it one year and then this guy does it the next year and then this guy does it the next year. There's really not a lot of stability there. There's really not one guy that we can invest in, because at any point
isn't part of that to what I was saying?
Agree.
Isn't part of that to what I was saying, where there's so many good players now that you're not going to have a guy like where LeBron goes to 8 straight finals, because let's be honest. He went to 8 straight finals because he took the 2 best players from 2 of the other teams in his conference, brought them all to one, and the rest of that conference wasn't very good. It wasn't very good. During that 8-year run, 4 of the worst records in NBA history, in the top 10 of NBA history, were in the East during that run. Like it was the perfect storm. You had the best player in the league who had 2 great teammates in a conference that wasn't at its peak. It was the perfect storm of things coming together. I don't think we're going to see that again. There's too many good players spread out.
It still has to work out, though, Tone.
That's what I'm saying. It has to work out. That's what I'm saying. It was a perfect storm where all those things came together.
It still has to work out.
We're going to see that again?
I don't think I'm going to see that again in my lifetime. I don't think 9 times in 10 years.
What year was LeBron considered the face of the league? Because I think it was somewhere in the 2000s.
I think the conversation started after he went to the finals in 2007. I don't think he was there yet, but I think that's when the conversation started.
2007?
Like when we started, like how people talking about Anthony Edwards now. I think that was the conversation with James in 2007 after they went to the finals. This guy is going to be the face of the league in the future. He ain't there yet.
But was he? Was he?
No, he wasn't there yet. No, he wasn't there yet.
So y'all would say what year would y'all say? 2010?
I think when he became the villain in 10-11, that's also when he became the face of the league.
Became the face of the league.
I think when he started winning.
Well, the thing is, the face of the league moniker is to me is more of like a thing that the media highly promoted. They was calling him king before he won anything. They was calling him the chosen one before he won anything. They was giving him all of these monikers before he won anything. But that's one of the reasons
everybody. That's the whole thing with everybody. They give them these names before they earn them. But
you could give a guy a name. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're that.
They're that. Yeah, that's the same thing I said.
They don't have to be that. I don't think he became officially the face of the league until he started winning. He was one of the faces of the league. Once he started winning, then there was some credibility behind it.
I feel like it was still Kobe until kind of 10-11, and then
Kobe would have been the face of the league longer. He would have been the face of the league longer if that nonsense didn't happen.
Sure.
And I think we all agree he would have had more MVPs as well. But I think one of the things that I always go back to in 2004, specifically that year, is that when Kobe had the incident that he had, and then obviously Shaq was getting older, LeBron was definitely being groomed for that spot. I could definitely say that. He was definitely being groomed for that spot. But the way that he handled the media at that age, the way that he handled the media at that age was very important. As an 18 and 19 years old, the way that he handled a lot of the pressure coming into the league, to become that, I think he handled it well. I think he definitely handled it well in terms of that.
I don't think a lot of people understand what exactly. Maybe I'm in the dark. What exactly makes you the face of the league? What do you have to do to become the face of the league?
Media, the image, the everything has to be on the court. Obviously, I'm not gonna leave that out.
When you say media, what do you mean media? Because I can Leaf, I can hype you up, but you could be a bum.
I mean, but no. In terms of the media, in terms of how you are with them, you know what I'm saying? I don't think you could be standoffish and be just saying any old thing in the media.
Is that true? I mean, Barkley was like that, and he was one of the faces of the league.
I mean, he was, but his performance on the court overlapped with what he was in me. But I'm talking about all of the things that you need. You asked me all of the things that you need to become that. I personally think you definitely have to be one with the media, or not one with the media, but like at least to have a prowess to deal with the media professionally. On and off the court, you have to be almost spotty outy. You know what I'm saying? Obviously have to be a winner at some point. Obviously you have to be a top player at some point, man. These is most of the things that I is there any more that you looking at, or is it not saying anything?
I just feel like when you're talking about the face of the league, it's got to. I feel like it's somebody that you got to get behind. I don't know. I'm not sure if I understand from different perspectives. I know that winning matters when you're talking about being the face of the league. You have to be. You have
yes,
to.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, you can't be losing and be the face of the league, but at the same time, this is where I fight myself. You have to be loved, hated, respected, right? Because do you have to be, when you say the face of the league, we always think it's like the good guy that everybody roots for. You could be the one that everybody roots against and be the face of the league. No,
that could happen. Yes,
has it happened?
Well, that's
being the villain. 100%.
Has it happened?
Yes,
I'd say LeBron.
People hated Bird. Just so you know, not everybody loved Bird. People hated Bird.
The media did.
Oh,
no, I'm saying LeBron after the decision. No,
this is the same. Wait, hold on. We talking about the same dude that won 3 straight MVPs?
Yes. The media did
not. Y'all listen. Y'all would know better than I do. Man.
The media did not love Bird as much. The media did not love Bird as much. It wasn't until Isaiah said what he said. When Isaiah said what he said, that's when it became. That's when it became like, wait a minute, yo, hold on now. Okay, we might not have given this dude as much credit as we should have, but you wrong about that. When Isaiah said what he said, that actually enhanced who Bird.
That did actually, but really it was Rodman that kind of answered the question, and then Isaiah Thomas kind of came to bat for him. I wanted to ask you another question because
before you do that, I just want to put out there, because we talked about the face. Since we're talking about the face of the league, I just want to put this on, and I'm going to read the headline first because I think the headline is very telling. NBA playoff ratings down 12% as casual fans pine for LeBron and Curry.
I mean, that's going to happen. I mean, but that's where the new basketball fans come in. You know what I'm saying? All of LeBron and Curry fans, they're probably not going to watch because they've been sold Steph. They've been spoon fed Steph and LeBron. Let's face it, for 4 straight years in the 2010s. Is one of the reasons why I call the 2010s one of the most overrated decades in sports. This is one of the main reasons, bro, and I stand on it. Just off the simple fact of that. But
let me ask. So that's before you get to your question.
You don't get them dudes as nearly as much respect as you should.
You right. I don't.
You don't.
Are they? Is it because of LeBron and Steph not being in, or you've got Minnesota, small market, OKC. Oh, they're out now, but Denver, no offense, Denver's not a big market. Dallas, okay, Dallas is a big market, and Boston. So you got, you don't have the LAs, the New Yorks. Do you think that so you don't have the biggest stars and you don't have the biggest cities?
Well, the most known team.
Which one do you think plays more?
I think it's a combination of both, but the reality is that majority of the fans don't really watch basketball outside of LeBron James and Steph Curry. They don't. Like, realistically, let's be real about it. It's one of the reasons why the LeBrownies, that I like to call them, like, they piss me clean off because they don't watch basketball like Fluent does. They don't watch basketball like Chilltown does. They don't analyze basketball like Chilltown does. They don't do their homework like Chilltown does. But Chilltown stands next to him, therefore he got to get shot like the rest of them. So
no, but you're right. It does drive me nuts because when people are fans of players, that bothers me because I'm old school. I'm like, this is my team, and I'm gonna stick with them through thick and thin. I'm gonna watch all the time. But
you gotta remember who we're talking about, though. And I think, Leaf, your problem is that you leave out the business aspect of this. I think that's what irritates you the most. That's why you talk about James the way you talk about him. That's why you talk about Curry the way you talk about him. Because we already on the hook. Who they attracted was they attracted Tone's son. They attracted your kid. They attracted the lady at the water cooler who is now going to Ross to pick up a pair of Steph Curry's for her son. She don't even watch basketball, but she knows who Steph Curry is. Just like my grandmother, who went to Bamberger's when I was 13, telling me that, yo, I found these $25, this guy Jordan, I found these Jordans in Bamberger's for you. So that's who they're looking for. They ain't looking for you. You already on the hook. They ain't looking for me. I'm already on the hook. They ain't looking for Tone. He's already on the hook. They're trying to get the casual fan to watch the game to get more viewership.
I told you the story, right?
The game. No, that's not the way that works.
I told you the story of the 90s, right? When the girls were like, Mrs. Fluent, her friends were like, "What are you doing tonight?" And they're all like, "Oh, we're gonna watch Jordan's playing." And they're like, "Who are they playing?" "I don't know, but Jordan's on TV."
They don't care. The fact that he on TV, they don't care.
Yeah. That is true. But I also think, and with all of the research and everything that you can do, that's part of the problem. But with like, the thing is that with these spaces now, like, believe it or not, me, you, and Chilltown, we're part of the media now. Look at your page. Look like our pages. Look at Players Choice. We're part of the media now. Like, the thing is, what my perspective of what you guys were doing is, y'all was talking it from a more in-depth version of than the media, than the mainstream media, than the ESPNs were. Because how many, you can't go on ESPN and find somebody like Chilltown that would talk about the X's and O's, what needs to happen down the stretch of the games and things like that. But I could go to Chilltown, and it's the reason why I do it. But and this is part of the reason why you need to watch 2 hours and 30 minutes of goddamn basketball. You can't just fast forward through the clips. House of Highlights ruined this generation, for better or for worse.
No, it's you're
this generation, for better or for worse.
I say this not to toot our own horns, but when we started doing this 3 years ago, it was different. But now everybody, like, I'm not saying we started it, but I'm saying you're seeing more of it. But what I found is, because I started watching, like, some of these other guys, they're not watching basketball, they're just talking basketball. And there is a difference.
Yes.
There is you can't talk basketball without watching basketball.
The first person that I saw in these spaces was Ticket. And I seen Ticket come in, and basically he came in basically when this whole thing was the ground floor. And when I seen that he came in when it was the ground floor and it was an empty kitchen and there was no lights on the stove. So the thing is, when I seen him come in and consistently drop video after video, don't get me wrong, he talked on a lot of issues, but when it came to game time, he talked about the game as well. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of the reasons why, like, he had 100,000 followers many times over, but we already know how Ticket he get. You know what I'm saying? Like, his temperament could go left and right, but like, when it comes, I always thought he was on point. But the reason why I say a lot of those things were for better or for worse is that those are the things that's minimizing the first, second, and third eye to how the game is played and how the game is talked about. So now you're getting more people Now you get more quote unquote goofies in the chat talking to chill and giving them one-liners and things like that, and then he's refuting them because he knows the game, because he sat there and watched the game for 2.5 hours, like I do on my page when I record the game and I do the play-by-play for 2.5 hours. Go tune in my chat, man. You won't watch me do a live play-by-play. I'm the Black Marv Albert. I ain't gonna lie to you. But
are you on playback?
Nah, I am on playback, but I haven't done a playback thing yet.
I was gonna say you could come. I'll give you a bunch of VIP passes. Come do this. Anyways, we'll talk
Lee
later.
4788 on playback. But I wanted to ask you another question. Chilltown, I definitely agree with you about Caruso making first team last year. I was highly disgusted, but you did troll me anyway. You talked about players not playing enough minutes to win Defensive Player of the Year, and that's exactly what I tell these Wemby fans about Wembanyama. Yo, don't tell me what he was on the court by telling me the San Antonio Spurs was this all together. And one of the questions I wanted to ask you, just out of curiosity, what do you have Michael Cooper ranked all-time defensively? Because he played less than 30 minutes as well.
I think he played like 24 minutes.
He played like 27. He played like 27 minutes the most.
I ain't think that was. I thought it was legit, but I thought.
Was he the best defenders on the Lakers team?
No, it was Jabbar.
Even in the times where Magic was taking up the mantle.
Well, when he won it in '87, Jabbar was over at that point as an elite defender.
So he was the best defender on that team.
But earlier on, he got there in '79.
79, right?
Yeah, he got there in '79. Up until like '87, Jabbar was still the best defender on that crew. Now, when we got later on, like after '85, I felt like Michael Cooper ended up taking the mantle.
And I ain't gonna lie, in that time, he put together a hell of a defensive resume.
Yeah. For
playing only 20-something minutes. But
yeah,
what do you have him all time defensively?
I haven't thought about it, to be honest with you. Michael,
you got him top 25? Because you know what I'm about to say, right?
I haven't thought about it. No, I don't. Because I would have to think about Michael Cooper as a defender.
I'm thinking about putting him in my top 10. I ain't gonna lie to you.
You got Tony Allen.
I don't have Tony Allen on I had to redo my top 10. I'm gonna give it to y'all later, bro. It's a more consistent top 10. Right. It's a more consistent top 10 than you would yell at me for. But definitely, my dream is to make a top 10 consistent enough where Scottie Pippen isn't in it. Good luck with that. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
That, my man. You got to bounce, brother. We had a time though.
We appreciate y'all. I am on Playback TV, man, and
yeah.
Absolutely, brother.
Go check them out.
Yeah, definitely. And I've been out of New York, bro. I'm going to Texas.
Thanks, brother.
My girlfriend is in Texas.
Send me the receipts. Send me the receipts.
We appreciate you, brother.
All right, man. It's that time. Go check out the Hoopstorians at 10. But until next week,
put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother. Call your mother. Talk to you soon. But until then, take it light, but take it. Thanks for hanging, guys. It was good to see you guys tonight. Absolutely.